So now after, you kind of realize, okay, I'm going to try to play volleyball now. Now, my follow-up question to that is, were you always like the tallest kid compared to your peers, or did you hit a growth spurt later on?
I was always the tallest
Always
for
the
as long as
tallest
I can
person.
remember.
Yeah, so, okay, so then your parents were like, maybe let's try throw you in volleyball, right? And as you started volleyball, you said it was kind of a lot of struggles. There were times, of course, when, you wanted to quit. But I'm glad that you stuck with it, and everyone in Hawaii is glad to see you play. But what was it like in those early years before high school? What was it like for you, learning a new sport, trying to, figure out how to actually improve at this sport? What was that process like?
Well, like I said, that first year was rough, and my parents really encouraged me to give it another shot. And so I did. In those next few years, working on fundamentals, building a really solid foundation, and kind of just working through a lot of doubt and failure. That's kind of how I got to the point of, I want to say it was around my sophomore, junior year of high school that I really started saying, like, okay, I think I've kind of got a good handle on this sport now. I mean, of course, I still had a lot of growing to do, but that's kind of where I started developing confidence, because up until then, it was tough, tough mentally. And I remember a lot of car rides home. My parents were like, trying to be encouraging, but also like, okay, we got to keep working.
Yes. So did you play it pretty much year round at that point, or was it primarily, do you guys have organized like volleyball for intermediate school, or is it primarily just club until you reach high school?
So in middle school, we had a school team, so I would, but it's very casual, those middle school teams, so maybe it's just for a few weeks. And so outside of that, it was mostly just club until I got to high school. Then it became year round. So high school season would be in the fall, and club season would just be right after that. Yeah.
Got it. So did you stay with the same club team throughout your entire time in California, or what's that like? Because I know there's so many different club teams in California.
There's a lot out there. There's really a lot. It's a tough decision trying to find the club that you want to play for. So I started at a club called 951 Elite, and they really helped me in the beginning years. And I think it was maybe after 3 or 4 years with them. So they had me playing as a middle blocker, which is typical for somebody with height. They're just stuck as a middle blocker. And then I kind of knew that they expected me to remain in that position. So me and my dad kind of made a decision to move to a different club, because I had more opportunity as an outside hitter, because I was a little bit more of a well-rounded player, because when I was at 951, I was a middle who would play all the way around, and meaning I would play back row, which doesn't really happen a whole lot when you're a middle. Yeah, when you're a middle. So I made the switch of clubs to a second club called Rancho, and they really helped me develop as an outside, and that's ultimately what I was recruited as from UH.
How old were you when you switched clubs around? Or what grade?
I think I was a freshman.
Got it. Okay, so majority of your high school career. Let's talk about, I know you mentioned the camp when you were 12 or 13 years old, but let's talk about when you said you started to get more confidence, maybe freshman, sophomore year. Was there anything that made you realize, I can actually play at the Division I level? Was there any season or game or instance where you were realizing, like, let's try to take this to the next level instead of just, till high school volleyball?
Yeah, so actually it was in high school volleyball, because my junior year, I played for a high school called Martin Luther King. We were a school that wasn't typically known for sports. We were kind of newer, and so we didn't really make much of an impression for, in our league. But my junior year, we had a good group of girls, and we weren't expected to go far, but we actually, and they called it our Cinderella story. We made it to CIF playoffs, which is already an accomplishment, because in our league, I think they only took the top 2. And so we competed in the whole southern section, Division II, and we were playing against girls who were already committed to big schools, and we were beating these teams, and we were able to hang with a lot of those athletes that were already heading to big schools, and we ended up winning the CIF championship for Southern section.
Wow.
Yeah, we definitely weren't supposed to make it that far. I think they said that we were supposed to be out by like round 2. And then we went on to play states after that. And so that was the northern and southern sections. And we ended up making it to the state finals for Division 2. That was a year where I kind of was a player that the team really relied on. And I was kind of one of their go-to hitters. So kind of seeing that I could hang with all of these girls who were kind of at the top level in California.
Yes.
That's kind of where I started developing a lot of confidence in myself that I would be able to eventually hang in college.
That's crazy. That's crazy to get that experience for one. But let's back up a little bit, because this is where you can educate me and everyone listening on. But I heard a little bit from Tessa, who's your good friend, right?
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, how do they break this up in California? Because you're talking about like so many schools. So yeah, she did kind of explain that, yeah, like just to make like your region, or even, like southern playoffs, I guess, of California, that's a huge feat in itself, like you said.
Yeah.
And then all of California, the best of the best from all of these tournaments, actually play for the championship. So it's way different than Hawaii. I mean, Hawaii, it's like, okay, ILH, OIA, whoever's the winner of both, it's like you guys play for the championship, which it's not even that many teams if you think about it in the grand scheme of things. So to make it that far without, expected to, or without having as much talent on your team, that says a lot, right? So what was that experience like for you leading into your senior year?
My confidence definitely was boosted a little bit after that season. I actually, right after those playoffs, I was offered my scholarship to UH. So that was also kind of reaffirming that I kind of was worthy. And of course, I was really stoked because that was my number 1 school at the time. So heading into my senior year after that, I knew that I hadn't made it yet. Of course, I knew I still needed to work hard to get to a place where maybe I could potentially start as a freshman, or at least do well and hold my own when I go to UH. So if anything, it kind of just really made me more motivated after kind of experiencing all that. Yeah, so that was also I think my senior year was my second year as an outside hitter. Okay. So I knew I still needed to work on that, and because that's what I got recruited as too.